feature presentation this week is a movie you can find on Netflix. So, right off the bat, I say this more often than not, but spoiler warning, we're going to talk about some plot points. But you can go in this and you'll find that we won't have ruined anything for you. What we haven't had in a while is a trigger warning. So,
Ooh.
big time trigger warning for this movie. Won't get too much into it because some of it will kind of spoilerly, but if you watch it on Netflix, you'll see there is sexual assault. There's some strong language that goes beyond the fuck ass pussy shit type of language.
Mm-hmm.
And then just some general tomfoolery and dumb fuckery. So, like, very, very, very seriously strong trigger warning for soft and quiet. So, we, so, I mean, we grow up in this world and we don't watch the news regularly. Well, at least I don't. But we know what's going on in the world, but we don't really touch on topical matters very often. That's just not what this show is about. Soft and quiet puts it right in your face, whether you want to know about it or not. So, I guess I'll start with a question for you. You always hear about groundbreaking, important must-see movies, like, and we've used those terms. Like, would you consider this an important or necessary watch?
Absolutely not.
I'm glad that you said that because I'm thinking, and I will say right off the bat that I'm shocked that we didn't hear more about this movie when it came out last year because this is wild. And this came out 10 years ago. I think people would be talking about this for months. I
Sure.
really, at least, like, I mean, this is a crazy, crazy movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's important.
Mm-mm.
It's not an important movie. I certainly don't think it's necessary,
Mm-mm.
but it addresses the stuff that people don't want to talk about. I mean, you hear these buzzwords like
Mm-hmm.
racial division and whatever. You hear about this stuff, but it's stuff that people really generally don't like to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, important or necessary, I don't know if I go that far, but I'm kind of glad that a movie like this is willing to be this raw and throw this kind of
Okay.
topic right in your face. it's
Yeah.
I should say this too. Try to watch this with my sister. She
Bailed.
bailed on it. She
Yeah.
said she was straight up like, I am not gonna watch this after about
Wow. Yeah.
45 minutes, I think. When the
Okay.
shit's about
Ooh.
to right when the shit's about to happen, you can tell what direction it's going in. Like,
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
out. Regina did watch the whole thing. She watched it without me. And right after she watched, she called me. She was like, I didn't like that movie. I don't know why you told me I should watch it. I told her, well, I didn't tell you should watch it. I just said it's something. But
Yeah.
I think this movie is gonna, one way or another, you're gonna have a very strong reaction to it.
Oh, you couldn't not have a strong reaction to this movie. Let me put it that way. And I think, uh, I think this is a well-made movie. I just don't think I I fucking hated every fucking second of this movie.
Oh,
I Yeah, and I that is strong. I know. And I will explain why. First, I who wants to watch a bunch of horrible racist women? And I don't mean men, women, whatever. Racist people sit around and be horrible racist people. And I get the point. Here it is in your face. Here it is on your platter. You got to scoop it up and eat it. There's no way around it. I just don't know who actually, regardless of message, wants to see that, or like you said, finds it important to see. I don't think this movie, not for me anyway. And dude, we both know. I I have a I think I am a very well-rounded individual. Luckily to grow up in the community that I did, and I think people like this are despicable, horrible, and we should know about them. You should. I don't believe in censorship in any way. This movie should exist. I just fucking couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the dialogue, which by the way is terrible, awful dialogue. It's like Rob Zombie wrote it straight up. Like the first 30 minutes, not so. Rob Zombie didn't write the first 30 minutes of this. But the next hour, he probably, for all I know, he did. It's a fucking f-bomb laden bitch, fucking centric. Everybody's being horrible and awful to each other. and it becomes this like circular, just unbelievable thing after unbelievable, and not unbelievable, believable, horrible thing that, again, the, I judge a lot of what I feel on if I'm enjoying it. Is this entertaining? This is fucking in no way an entertaining movie at all. At all. There's nothing entertaining about what you're watching, regardless of fucking message. And I think that's where I felt like it's exploitative of your audience to like do that to them. I think it there's nothing groundbreaking happening here. This is a bunch of horrible people doing a horrible thing to some people that do not deserve it. But it's done in a very, I don't know, it's just surface level. There's no depth to it. And they tried to make some of the instances that happen during, like as you said, when the shit hits the fan, they try to make it like, oh, but like, they didn't actually mean. No, who gives a shit? They could have walked in and just fucking cut everybody's throats for all I fucking cared. It wouldn't have affected me any differently. I would have still hated them. I would have still hated the fucking act. Look, probably good acting. I don't know. I couldn't get past the fucking dialogue. And I I cannot express to you how much I by the end of this movie, I was like, I fucking hate this. Like, really hated it.
I know I can.
Spoilers.
No. Oh, and I guess well, I didn't even see what the movie's about. It's about a group of like-minded women who get together for their, I guess, regular meeting, and an encounter at a store causes some shit to go down, and like that's real
Yes.
time, shot over 4 days. It's one of those no-cut movies. Man, it gets pretty wild, but I think everything that you said is very true. Like I think that this is an exploitation movie. Like straight, Regina compared it to uh the what is it? I Spit on Your Grave.
Sure.
Uh
Which another
ex
movie I hate.
and her too, except she said this is a major spoiler, but I'll try to dance around as much as possible. She said, at least in I Spit in Your Grave, in the most shitty way possible, there's an attempt at retribution.
Okay, sure. Right.
And something quite a little bit different, depending on, I guess, how you interpret the ending. Yeah, this movie is every. I do some things I do disagree with you about, but this movie, although like the through line that everyone that I've talked about is the this reason was not made to deliver a message; it was very much made to shock you,
Yeah.
like shock the audience. Like, and you're right, the dialogue is it's the first 30 minutes to an hour or so. It's normal because you're getting to know the characters a little
Sure.
bit. You're figuring out their little quirks, and then once the action kicks in, then it just becomes, you're right. It's a bunch of cussing, a bunch of insulting, just turning on each other. Just kind of some lines seem like they're improvised, kind of random. I think that's intentional, though. I think it's supposed to
Sure.
show the chaos of the moment, and I'm not going to say that this is a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but I think all that mm, less careful scripting in the back hat end of the movie, I think it's supposed to like get the audience caught up in the, because what happens, I mean, I had very like and visceral feelings for, like I told you when I saw it the first, like I was shaking when I
Yeah.
saw it. Like I haven't seen a movie like this in a very long time, to where it's like I felt very negative when it was over, and very and people say a lot, and I say it too. I say like, oh, I'm scared for my country, and a lot of times I just say that just to say it. But after watching this movie, I was like, holy shit, I'm kind of scared for my country.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's very salient. Like I think like right. Like I think there's a message there of like, hey, there's some scary people with some scary ideals that are willing to just be horrible. Man, I get it. I get it. I guess where I kind of just there was nothing redeemable about any of it, right? Like I mean, even your poor victims, like you don't even get to know them enough to really, I mean, not that you don't, you just maybe that's the point, that they're
Yeah,
just two random people off the street, which, and I can see, like why. I mean, it is gut-wrenchingly horrible, the things that are happening, and disgusting to witness.
yeah.
And I think, if that's the goal, mission accomplished, man. You made me fucking hate an hour and a half of life and think about it. And so sure, I thought about it and all this shit, but fuck, man, I even at the very end, which I saw the last beat, kind of coming a mile away, which is fine. I was hoping for it to be, let me put it that way. I was hoping that I was going to get the thing that I hoped happened at the very end of the movie. But even with some light at the end of the tunnel, I had such a hard time, thinking back to this, experience and going like, yeah, I would recommend that it's, to anyone. I think you'd have to, well, I think you'd have to want this. You'd have to want to experience this horrible thing. And I just don't know. In thinking about it, I'm like, who is that? Who wants to experience this? Not me. If it left you shaking, dude, that's not a reaction I want from a fucking movie. Like,
That's a good point.
and I want to be entertained, and like, not that there wasn't, some entertainment value, I guess, in just like the viciousness. There's like, you're like, wow, like this is just escalating, and like, wow, look at this kind of like whole like avalanche of hate, I guess, that is comes rolling down the hill. I guess there's like kind of like a wow factor to that, but sitting in my desk chair watching it, I could not wait for it to be over, and
Yeah.
for so many reasons. And I kind of I kind of don't even like that they tried to play at your emotions with the very first scene that you see. They try to like give you like this like sympathy card. I, no, that was out the window within 10 minutes. I didn't care. I didn't care about any of the characters, except for a couple that you should care about. But it was like a miserable experience for me, and that is, I very rarely say that about stuff like this. I mean, really, but man, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of like out of a loss for words about it, dude. I'm so sorry.
no, I think that's one of the points of this movie
Yeah,
too. I agree with you with the. I think it's supposed to be about. I don't want to make it seem like there's a deeper message to it, but there, I think it is supposed to. There's supposed to be that aspect of it could happen to anybody. It could happen to
sure,
you, type of thing in the round.
sure.
Oh, writing wise, because we've kind of ignored some of that.
Mm,
I think that they tried to give more reason for there to be conflict between the groups than was necessary, because then that kind of takes away from the randomness of it. Like I kind of wish that there wasn't like this, oh, them type of thing. Like I just it would have been better if it was just like, hey, look at them, let's go. Like
yeah,
that would have shown the randomness. So I thought the ending was honestly, I thought it was really lazy because you can see it coming, but I was like, man, I hope it doesn't end like that, because if it does, I want there to be more to it, because the way it ends is very much like a horror movie. And I was like, well, shit, you just given me an hour and a half of like
drama. Yeah,
raw, real life in your face, like
yeah,
grit. And now you're giving me a corny horror movie ending. Like, hey, I love those endings. But this
sure.
is the type of movie for that. I was
Yeah,
very, very put off by that.
yeah.
The rest of the movie, which is kind of a weird thing. I will say that the performances which you touched on, now some of the characters are in and out so quickly,
Hmm.
and like I said, some of them they're given they're there just for you to have some sort of emotional attachment to them, and it's
Hmm.
like very, very shallow what you're supposed to
Hmm.
feel for them. But there's a couple that stand out, and literally a couple. I think Emily, the main character, Stephanie Estes, someone describes her as a Barbie doll. I thought she played that type of character very well.
Hmm.
Like the way she spoke down to even her friends, I thought was really, really cool. I thought the character was a piece of shit, but the performance I thought was really, I don't know. I was I understood the character for as much as you can understand a person like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I will. The best part about this movie easily is the performances, because these actresses and actors, they fully are fully spot in. They're going hard, if you will.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And so yeah, that's to be admired, that this cast could do this movie. that had to have been a hard ask, to get into the mindset of that is holy good God. To try to live in those shoes, holy shit. So yeah, mad props to the cast and crew for actually pulling it together as far as performances go. But then that gets back to my complaint about the dialogue and writing is like, you know, you could have done more than just shout bitch and fuck at each other for the next hour and a half. Like, and like, honestly, there's a couple of those. It's like, if I'd have walked into any situation where 5 people are screaming at each other incoherently, I'm walking right out, you know, and that's
That's
an
not true.
hour.
You're a big Always Sunny fan.
Okay.
I
Okay,
know.
you're right. So yeah, guilty as charged. Just- but they're not actually being racist, horrible people, except for like 1 or 2 episodes. Um,
Which we can no longer see anyway, so it kind of works
yes,
out.
exactly. So, but yeah, so that's where I'm just like, man, like it's such a lot, and it's like those scenes became overwhelming to me, to where I was like, I literally want to get up and walk away. And I think that gets back down to like some direction in writing, to where it's like, guys, you know, it's give me something more than that, and to play at your heartstrings the way they do a couple times, I think was so cheap. And just like you said, the ending was lazy and there's some cheap writing in there. And okay, if it was shot in 4 days, you can tell. Was it written in fucking 24 hours? Because that's what it felt like. I don't know. That's I think there was an idea here that they were just fucking, let's go fucking hard, man. We got to go for this idea. And the execution kind of got muddy. And in doing so, it really was like repulsive to me, I guess, is like a magnet. Like
Right.
that kind of repulsion. So
You know what? I bet, like, whether it was done in 24 hours or 24 months or whatever, I bet it didn't get money in execution. I'm thinking this is what you see is what that I
you
think
think
it's
that's
their
what they
vision.
wanted?
I think that's the vision. I
Wow.
really do. I will say this too, going back to the performances. And I don't want to ignore anything that you said. Olivia Lucardi, who we saw when we were
Oh
on
yeah.
Final Girls, in
Yes.
another exploitation type movie, Candyland. We were just talking about Jenna Ortega and how she seems to gravitate towards these genre.
Mhm.
Olivia Lucardi, I'm really beginning to like. That's a name that I'm beginning to look for
Yeah.
because in this movie, yeah, it's a lot of like kind of simple, kind of annoying dialogue, but her character, like, you're not supposed to like any of these characters really,
Mhm.
but hers is the one I personally was the one I hated her the most.
Oh, easily
Like,
hated. Oh, she commanded the screen for
she's
sure.
she's amazing. Like,
Yes.
and the actor, not the character. Like,
Yes.
amazing performance. Also in a movie that does not have very much levity to it, she has the funniest line in the movie when she hugs Emily and says, "And afterwards, you can model my clothes." Like, how a movie like that, you never think you would laugh out loud in a movie like this, but there you go. And yeah, what you said about it is a miserable experience. You're right. And it seems like that it was done almost haphazardly and rushed, but I really feel that that's all intentional because I think it's supposed to put you in a moment and put you in a mood. And I think it will, it will put everybody in some sort of mood one way or another. And
For sure.
looking
For sure.
online and looking what people have said about it, it's one or the other that I think people are really like, oh man, this is, this important, great movie you have to check out. And others, I've seen many people say it's the worst movie they've seen in years. So it runs the gamut of emotions for sure.